Good morning. It is January 2nd of 2021. And I'm going to go ahead, and it's early in the morning. I've actually been up since 4. It's 8. This is my second attempt at making this video. The camera got full. So, became full. Proper grammar. What I wanted to show you is an easy recipe that makes quite a bit for a family's meal, and it's inexpensive. I've tried to make this before, and it turned out really good. And this was a while back, and because it's cold out and it's going to slow cook in the crock pot all day, it's going to be wonderful at nighttime for a good supper meal. But I wanted you to see that what I'm using, what I'm going to be making actually, is a 15-bean soup. We've tried this before. This brand is called Hearst's Ham Beans. The difference is that this time we're going to be making the Cajun style 15-bean soup. So it comes with Cajun seasoning inside. And what you do, and what I did actually, was yesterday afternoon, you soak the beans in water. So you just take a nice big bowl, and I soaked them overnight, and they're already soaked. And then you rinse them off in a colander. And then I'm going to be placing them into my rival crock pot to cook. But the ingredients that you also include are, you can add a pound, it says, of mild or hot Italian sausage, Polish sausage, or ham. So I asked Atticus if he'd like Polish sausage because I did have it. And he decided on the ham because that's what we had the last time, and it was really pretty good. And this is Open Nature, and I honestly don't remember where I get it from. It might be Walmart, or it might be Albertsons. And it was frozen because it says freeze by a certain date, and I didn't want anyone to freak out about that. And I defrosted it yesterday. So what you need is a pound of that, but I don't have a pound. I'm only using 7 ounces, and that part doesn't really matter. It's to your preference how meaty you want the soup to be. Then you include a large onion, chopped, and a can of diced tomatoes that is 14.5 ounces, which this one is. And I said in a previous video that when I go through Walmart.com, the packers there are not as careful as it could be, and they dent the can. So I'm trying to use this one's kind of squished, not sharply. Oh no, there's a sharp dent there. But I circle it so that I know to use it right away. Otherwise, bacteria gets into the can. And so I'm like so frustrated with that. But you add the tomatoes and the juice of 1 lemon and 1 to 2 cloves of garlic. I didn't know how many I needed. I needed to refill my little garlic basket here in the kitchen because I store my garlic in the garage where it's cooler. And you put it all together. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what happens next. Okay, so I have most of the ingredients in my crock pot. I've got the garlic and the chopped onion and the ham. Now there's other ways of doing it where you would saute the ham and the onion together if you're going to do it in a pan or a pot. But since I'm slow cooking this is how I did it before with the soup. Is I put it in the way it is. And this is the beauty of that Open Nature ham, is everything's all chopped up for you, and it saves you time and energy, and it saves my wrist too. But I use this for my garlic, and it'll get all mixed around, but it gets smushed, and you scrape it off of the bottom. It's what my mom used to use. It's her little tool. But I wanted to show you. Okay, so I have the lemon here. I actually saw this. I mentioned a while back that a lot of different people inspired me, and one of them was Martha Stewart when she lived in Turkey Hill, or on Turkey Hill was the name of her property in Connecticut. And I learned a lot of tips from her, and I have no shame. She was really cool. Again, back in the old days before she got all New Yorky, she had baskets and all these cool things in this farmhouse, and she was awesome, and she had great Christmas specials. And this is way back, I think, in the early 90s or mid 90s when she was on television. I loved watching her show. In fact, I taped them on VHS tapes. But getting back to inspiration, one of the things that she taught me was about lemons. And I do want to point out, I broke my finger 2 days ago. And this is part of what happens with people with OI. I started to tumble over a cat that was under my feet, and then right here on the kitchen I hurt myself. So I've got a wound here I have lots of wounds. Just that's the nature of working with your hands and labor. The tip is that you take your lemon and you roll it so that you're breaking it up and getting it juicy. So I'm going to roll it a little bit, and you can feel it getting soft. And then what you do is you take a sharp knife and you pierce the bottom like a cross. I think she just pierced the bottom, but then later on I learned that I can get more juice out this way. And then I'm going to take you over to my crock pot, and I'm going to try to squeeze it. It's hard for you to see, but that's basically it. Kind of like the udder of a milk cow or a dairy goat. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my hand in the way and really squeeze with my left hand. Or you could do it the other way too, where you're using one of those juicers like I did for my pomegranate juice video. But I just found that this is easier because you get no pulp or seeds coming out. You just get juice. And you end up with this deflated lemon. It's all squishy. And the other thing that I failed to mention, this goes in the compost pot, is that this is a lot of soup that I'm going to be making. But it's wonderful and inexpensive for a larger family. But for just Atticus and I, what I'm going to end up doing is we'll probably eat it for a couple of days. Tonight we're going to have it, and then probably tomorrow. But I'll freeze portions of it for the days that I'm not up for making a meal. And then we both prefer hot meals. Or that's our preference. We don't always do it like that, but that's our preference. We like to have hot meals at lunch. Well, it's just about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Probably 75% of the time. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the diced tomatoes. Here we go. Adding the petite diced tomatoes. So the onions actually came from my garden, and the garlic came from my garden. So those are the two things that I didn't necessarily pay for from the market. But the beans and the tomatoes, I did. I think I need to get the seasoning. The beans and tomatoes I did have have to purchase, as well as the ham. But that's another thing. You can easily put in leftover ham if you have a large one, and then you have some pieces left over you can freeze. I learned that from an Appalachian YouTube video that I really like. I wondered if I was supposed to add any more water. I sure do. I need to add 8 cups of water to this. Let me put in the seasoning. It'll be easier when I get the 8 cups of water in. I promise in time I will be more prepared. I'll be back. So I've been eyeballing this, and there's no way that my size crock pot will accommodate 8 cups of water. So I put in 4. It's already nearly to the top, and I have some 2 cups more measured, which would equal to 6. So I either have to get, I might consider getting a larger crock pot. But I love this one so much, and there's only so much I can handle. So I have 6 cups of water in here. And that's about it. I'm not going to be able to put any more, and I don't think that I should. It's going to be more of a less soup, more stewish beans and ham. By the way, just FYI, the Cajun seasoning really smells amazing.
Really?
Yeah, really smells amazing.
I'm here too, people.
Yes, he is. He's going to stream it later on today.
Yeah!
And then I'm going to put the lid on. And I'm going to slow cook it all day long. And then I don't have to worry about much of anything. It's all plugged in. I'm going to put it on low. And then I did want to mention the preference is homemade cornbread, but in a pinch, and I think this was on sale at Walmart. The Famous Dave's is pretty good. Cornbread mix, and it's easy peasy. It's just a third of a cup of milk, a third of a cup of water, and an egg. Believe me, I know that homemade from scratch cornbread is far superior, and this probably has a variety of things of, like silicon dioxide added to prevent caking. You know, that sort of thing. Wow. I did not know it has sodium aluminum phosphate. Well, I may look up a recipe for making cornbread and just skip this altogether. The sad thing is it really tastes good, but I don't want aluminum in our diet.
No, that would be bad.
Yeah, that'd be bad. But later on tonight I'll be back and you'll be able to see how this all turns out. You know, I just wanted to insert this. It just goes to show you that you have to read your labels. I really need to wear my readers when I go shopping. And just because something tastes good clearly doesn't mean that it's good for you. One of the things that I read on the back of this, on the side of it actually, for the ingredients, is that the first ingredient is sugar. And I know that it's sweet. I get that. But that's the first ingredient. So that's what's the most in this package. And then when I'm reading about sodium aluminum phosphate, sodium acid pyrophosphate, monocalcium phosphate, dextrose, and some other, and the silicone dioxide added to prevent caking, all the added ingredients is the very reason why we are supposed to learn to cook and bake by scratch. So I went into my pantry here, and at the 99-cent store or at Walmart, you can get it for 99 cents or 79 cents at Walmart, that good old Jiffy brand. And when I looked at the ingredients behind this, it starts out with wheat flour, and it has yellow cornmeal. It does have sugar, and it has lard in it, and it does have it says baking soda, sodium acid pyrophosphate, which is in the other one. It does have those ingredients in it that keeps it preserved. I'm still telling you, it is far better to learn to cook from scratch, but in a pinch. And then in today's times when we're trying to watch our budgeting of our money, it's okay. It says it's been used since 1930. And I have said over and over again, my mom lived to be 92 and she didn't read labels. I know you have to read labels now because things changed and things were added. But there was a time where people ate food like hardtack and whatever it is from sugar, flour, and water. But in a pinch, because I don't have the time to go through the internet and find a good cornbread mix right now, I will, and I'll write it down and I'll make it. But for today, because I have so much that I have to do, I'm going to do good old Jiffy. And for those of you who don't have a large family and it's just a couple of you like it is Atticus and I, this only makes a few. And you don't have to worry about waste. And then all you have to do, as it says on the box, is add egg and milk, and that's it. So that it's a very inexpensive meal, but read your labels. I'm really ashamed that I didn't, and I did waste money buying that because now I don't want to eat that. Not if it has the things that I read, aluminum especially. That's not safe. Okay, it is 5:09, and I shut off the crock pot. The steam comes out, and it looks and it smells amazing. Look at the steam. Wow, that looks beautiful. Have our corn muffin. And you know what? It's soup. I think 2 more cups would have made it probably really diluted. And I have so much here that I know I'm going to end up freezing up 2 or 3 batches of this. And there you have it. 15 bean Cajun soup and corn muffins. That's a hearty meal for a cold day. So one of the purposes of my blog, my vlog, is that I'm doing things maybe for the first time. I had done this soup recipe before, but I think now, unless I write everything down, unfortunately, I don't remember exactly how I did it. The only thing I can think of is that I had used my crock pot on high. But yesterday, after I had poured out the soup, I discovered that the beans were al dente. So I made the decision that I would go ahead and let the soup cook all night long on low. And I'm checking it right now, and once again, I think it smells even more wonderful. The other thing that I did do is, because the soup was so good, the soup portion of it, that we drank the juice, and I added more water. But it's really in, the color is beautiful, and I'm going to test it. Basically what I'm trying to say is cooking from scratch is a newish thing for me. I mean, obviously I'm these are not beans that I've grown, but they're beans that I had to soak. So I'm going to take one of the beans, like a bigger one, and it's very tender. I'm testing it. That big one is very tender, and that was very tender. And I hadn't done that. I did not test it, so that's why it's good to test things, which now I did. I'm probably going to let this go a little bit longer, maybe a half hour or so, long enough for me to have a cup of coffee, and then I'll shut her down. And I'll cool it off, and then I'll set it up, and then Atticus and I can have it for dinner tonight. Actually, he told me he wanted it for lunch. But, so I'm letting you know that it actually took more along the lines of 12 hours, 12 to 15. 12 to 15 hours in the slow, low setting of the crock pot. And that'll make it better. That'll make it perfect. And then I didn't get to sign off with a God bless. In the 3rd day of the 1st month, January 3rd, 2021. Not 20. That's done. So God bless. You ever do that? You ever write out a check? Maybe nobody does checks anymore. You ever write out a check and it's the first part of the new year? You always write the previous year on your check. I've done it so many times. Now I have to learn to say 2021, 2021, 2021. 2020, 2020, testing, 2020, no, 2021, 2021. Like it.